Dube is a South African singer, actor, mime artist and entertainer. He's known for his work in the #1 ladies detective agency, Hotel Rwanda, Friends Indeed, Suburban Bliss, Sanjay Blues. He's a trained theatrical actor and has appeared in both commercial and street theatre. And he'll also be bringing up some of your comments that have been coming through on our social media platforms. Any questions or comments that you have, we'll try and share as much of those as possible with our guest this morning. Desmond, it's great to have you. I know you're saying the weather is fabulous out there in Cape Town. Thank you so much for making the time to come on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We may not have water here in Cape Town, but we've got great weather.
Great weather and amazing scenery. Desmond, how did you come into this career of acting, comedy and theatre work? You started very early at the age of 12, but how did you know what to do and where to go?
You know, I don't know. I think it sort of chose me because I think, you know, in those days we didn't have formal drama or as a subject at school. But I had this one teacher who just wanted to keep us away, you know, out of the streets and, you know, keep us active. And I actually thought I was going to be a singer at some point, you know. A lot of people will be surprised to hear that. Tina, Nabo, you know, Nabo Vusikunene. People don't know that Vusikunene can sing, by the way. So
oh, really?
All of us were just, you know, it was a way to get us just off the streets. And of course, when we realized that you can make a career out of this, you know, some of us went and got some kind of training and just, you know, just to have a better understanding. But yes, it chose me.
All right, so you go from doing this as a pastime, something to get you off the streets, but clearly it's something you're passionate about. Then you discover that you can make a living from it, and then you start doing some real productions. When was the turning point in your career where you realize that you've now been elevated, you're on the next level, and you're in this?
You know, there was a man called Gibson Kente, who is known as the godfather of black theatre. He, you know, I was living in Kimberley at that time, and you know, he would do these tours of his plays and so on, and I auditioned for one of these plays in Kimberley, and when I got the thumbs up, it was just such a shock because Gibson Kente was the man, and he was known as also a tough talent scout, and you know, if you don't make the cut, really, you know. And when I got a thumbs up from Gibson Kent, I think that was the moment where I went, hey, hang on a sec. I think there's something here, you know. And of course, I packed my bags and I made my way to Joburg.
Now, having worked with so many people on so many productions, I mean, at the top of my head, I can think of about 10 productions that I've seen you on. How has your experience been working with other actors? And what are you like on set? Because something tells me that you bring the laughter, you bring the fun when you're on set with other people.
I don't know about that. I think those other actors will have to tell. But you know, I love the craft. I've grown to love it even more. I love people. I love to hear people's stories. And so being around other artists, nothing makes me happier than just, you know, knowing what other people are going through, you know, the happiness, the sad things, things that affect them, and, you know, because that's how we learn. That's probably what we call humanity, you know, connecting people to one another. Incidentally, you know, just talking about things like cell phones and so on, and how they were supposed to connect us, and now they're actually, you know, driving us apart. It's an interesting phenomenon where I think we were better off. In fact, there's a restaurant up here in Cape Town where as soon as you walk in and you sit on your table, they take the phones away. And you start realizing that we no longer do that connecting as we should. So me working with other actors, woo, man, you know, that's my world.
Desmond, I mean, this industry is not necessarily all cut and dry. You know, things are not as easy as they seem. It's quite complex, and just navigating the industry, what do you think is, you know, the most important thing in this field?
Look, I think it's going to sound a little bit cheesy, but pay attention to the craft. Leave all the other rubbish away from it. It's about the craft. You got to love it enough. You got to be passionate enough. But also remember, you're not special. It doesn't make you a special person. And I'm talking about celebrity dom. The culture of walking with sunglasses and with your shoulders up and that type of thing. It's a job. You're here to tell stories and to possibly mirror the society. And I think those are the fundamentals.
Now, with everything else that is behind you, all the experience behind you, all the work, all the money, I might say, behind you that you've managed to make over the years, what's the one thing
money.
Money. What's the one thing that you would still like to fulfill?
Oh, quite a lot. I mean, I think South Africa has got a lot of stories to tell, and we have not seen any of those stories yet. We've seen probably about 0.2% of the stories that South Africa has to tell. And I think maybe that's why we're even doing this play again, which was set in the 50s, that Athol Fugard wrote in the 80s. And it's an interesting story because it's a story about him personally and how he grew up with these two men who were employed by his parents, and the friendship that was created from there. So there's a lot of these kind of stories that we're still not telling. And I think that we are in this political situation or rather racial situations around the world because we are not actually telling the stories. We're not talking to one another. We just keep bumping into each other.
All right, Desmond, that's all we'll have to leave it for the moment. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we are going to continue speaking about your work that you are doing. At the moment, it's Athol Fugard's classical play, Master Harold and the Boys. Desmond will be telling us all about his role and what we can expect from that when we return. In the meantime, do continue sending your questions and comments. We're in conversation with the legend himself, Desmond Dube.
This is where we take a look inside the world of media, analysing the trends, the issues and the reporting of some of the week's top stories.
One of the things that we are seeing across the globe, people are consuming news and living their lives with their mobile devices.
The evolution of journalism is to use the same skills, the same ethics, the same values, but to cater to different audiences because it's not the same people.
There is a lot of debate in this industry today whether the future is about digital paid content. Will there be a market for users to pay for digital content? And we see that in Africa it's a challenge.
People will go, pay for a newspaper, take it away. Why won't they pay for it online?
In the initial stages of shifting from print to online, we created the impression that what people were paying for was the paper. And so people are very reluctant to pay for the journalism, and good journalism is very expensive.
Watch Media Monitor Sundays at 9 a.m.
At Health Talk, we don't just talk hardcore health issues. We also tell stories of those affected.
You have a kidney that you received from your sister. What does it mean to you?
I can't thank her enough.
We feature a panel of experts to educate and help us understand various conditions.
What is osteoporosis?
Yes, often it can be confused with arthritis, but osteoporosis is a separate condition. It's a condition that causes a weak bone.
Bring to light issues concerning public health.
Health in South Africa depends upon your pocket, which is very unfair because life is a basic necessity. We all have a right to live and to get proper health facilities.